So you're at home, and the FBI knocks at the door. Well, that can't happen because you're not committing any crimes. But what if the FBI came along because you had a social media post? Well, if you threatened to kill the President of the United States or even figurehead Biden or figurehead Harris, you can expect to get arrested. And that's illegal, and we should equally apply these laws. Now, if you threaten to kill President Trump, well, come on. I mean, it's just Trump. You can do that time and again, and they'll wait about a year to arrest you. They finally did arrest a guy, by the way, who'd been making a series of threats against President Trump, and they finally did arrest him because I think he went down there. And in the case of you, if you're not threatening to kill federal officials, you're not really going to get a knock at the door, are you? Yes, you are. Now, I'm not saying you will, but people have. We're in a country right now where they are pushing and pushing and pushing to normalize and normalize and normalize, putting people in prison for speech. Douglas Mackey, they want him in prison because of a meme he forwarded, he retweeted, simply pretending that you could vote for Hillary Clinton via text message. He is facing prison time. Oren Shar, who works with or for Alex Jones, just got out of jail for this. You have, of course, Steve Bannon, who is going to be walking out of a prison cell in about 28 days. He's in there for speech. They wanted to put President Trump in prison for speech. So they'll do it. So how do you interact with feds when they come to the door? I want to give you an example of how to do this. This is a guy named Jeremy Kaufman who did this. We'll get to that after I invite you to change a habit that could be harming our country. The people at the top, they really rely on us to be habitual. They really rely on the what else you going to do thing. When you walk into a store, are you mindful? I am. I walk into a grocery store. The first thing I know is there's nothing for me on the inside aisles. There's absolutely nothing there. I shop the outside aisles. Now, they're starting to catch on to that a little bit. And they're starting to put some products that are truly bad for you, sugar-based, processed foods outside as well. They're hip to that, but it's still a pretty safe way to shop. The other thing I do is I look for products that look like they did in nature, that you could look at and say, that's an apple. The less like nature it appears to be, the less good it will be for you. Well, that's all what we eat. You have a habit of buying soap. It's probably the same brand. You probably do it reflexively. You probably walk through the grocery store or the drugstore, wherever you buy your soap, and you probably just reach for it. It's Ivory, it's Dove, or any of those things. Could you make a change that could help the country? You can. You can purchase Allen Soaps, which is all natural, made in America. It's created by a family with 3 generations of soap making expertise, and their mission is greater than the product, as great as the product is. Years ago, they were created to give people like Allen a place to work because the people at the top would rather have seen Allen dead. In fact, they offered to kill him for his parents because they saw he was going to have these structural health problems. He's still effectively nonverbal through autism. He was employee number 1 as the chief soap officer, and he invents many of the fragrances. His brother Ian was employee number 2. Ian inspired the liquid soap, which is perfect for you to have in your business place or your church or your Airbnb or your VRBO to tell the story of Allen's. Now, there's a 3rd employee working at Allen's who also would have been the choice of the party that she just be shuttled off into a box to be stored. So how about changing a habit? Go to allensoaps.com/Todd. You get 10% off all their products there. And it is a place where you absolutely are proving that to you, all lives matter. It's allensoaps.com/Todd. Jeremy Kaufman was visited by the FBI. They're walking up from their car.
Hey there. Hey, Jeremy?
Yeah.
You, Jeremy?
How are you?
How are you?
Who are you?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
I'm
Can you
Agent
give your full
O'Donnell
name,
with the
please?
FBI.
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Is that sufficient to identify as the only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI?
In New Hampshire, yes.
In New Hampshire, yes.
Could you please state your full name, sir?
Could you please stop recording?
No. It's First Amendment right.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Could you stop recording?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so step 1, he's aware of his rights. He's correct. He has a right to film. This has been through a court case. The agents know this. They're just going to try to use a pressure tactic to get him to stop because most people are going to be polite. Having your rights extinguished is not being polite. It's having your rights extinguished. You can say this in polite ways or at least congenial ways, and Jeremy does for the most part.
You can show me your name and identification, or I'm going to go back inside my house.
Okay.
I don't really want to broadcast my.
Oh, this is going out right after you guys
I
walk
know,
away.
So that's why I'm not going to.
So you can show me your name or ID. You can walk away.
We just want to talk to you.
We just want to talk to you.
I'm not going to talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification.
Okay, well, you see our badges.
I need to see. Is your full name on that badge?
No,
I'd like to see something with your full name, or I'm not going to talk to you.
I prefer you not to broadcast it.
This will be going online as soon as you walk away.
Well, all I want to do is talk to you about a post that was made, and if you
Well,
happen to be the one that made the
I want to talk to you about you guys coming here.
Okay, so here's great technique. They right now would like to lay a perjury trap for him. Okay, this is what I think. They want to talk to you about this social media post. Are you the one who made it? He's risking a problem here in that he continues to talk with them, but he shifts. He's talking at them. Never respond to a question. Ever. If you have any questions about this, tap an attorney. Never, ever speak to the police. Now, of course, if a cop comes to take a report at your home, you see a traffic accident, we need to be helpful citizens. We need to be polite. But when it's the feds and it's the FBI, never answer a question. And Jeffrey Kaufman decides not to, because anytime you answer a question, they can find a way to twist it into perjuring yourself or lying to a federal officer. The most famous incident this was Bobby Mueller, who wanted to pin something on a former agent. So he went through this questioning. This guy had been questioned, and Mueller went through and he found perjury. You know what he found? One of the agents asked this guy, what color was the car? And the guy said brown. So Bobby Mueller went and found that vehicle, went to the manufacturer's website, looked up the name of the paint. It wasn't brown. It was something like Caramel Joy. There you go. Lied to a federal official.
Say you make a salary of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures? Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like you're familiar with.
Okay, that's great. You know it's not against the law. We're not saying it is. You have no just cause to be here. No reasonable cause at all. That's a great thing he just established through their own words. We know you didn't break the law.
So then why would you come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any other
No, you're
threats.
coming because
Any other threats? Pause. Threats? If he had threatened a federal official, it would be a crime. And he's very smart, Kaufman, because he doesn't say there were no other threats, because that would be a tacit admission that there were some. He continues to talk at them. Good technique.
you're part of a regime that does this kind of thing when you know laws aren't being broken. And that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your jobs and go home?
We appreciate it.
You're walking away. Because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are heads that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. And you go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards. Drive away. Drive away.
Thank you for your time.
You're not welcome. You should be embarrassed. Embarrassing.
And he's walking around
guys are
to the back of the
embarrassing.
vehicle, and he's going to get a shot of the license plate for all that's worth, because it's almost certainly a rental car. Because they always use rental cars. And then the impolite gesture. It's sort of, I guess, like pouring tea into the harbor, the middle finger. He did a great job. He didn't give them anything that they could use to say he'd lied to a federal official. He was 99% polite, except for the finger at the ends and some of the things we had to bleep out. And I get it. The adrenaline's high. You won. I had a friend of mine who was a undercover cop for 3 years. And he was involved in breaking apart meth labs. And he had pretended to be a drug cooker for 3 years. And had to dress the role, had to have the hair of the role, had to drive a car, or actually a truck that played to the role. He had to hang out with cartel members. He had to pretend to befriend them for 3 years. He did this in a deep cover role. I saw him during that period of time. I hadn't seen him in many, many years. And I sent him a note, hey, I'm in town. Got to take you to lunch. I miss you. And he said, okay, let's do that. And he called me before he came. And he said, hey, look, I've been on an undercover project. I look like an absolute piece of filth. And I said, you're my dear friend. I don't care what you look like. And we were at the Coeur d'Alene Resort in North Idaho, this pretty nice resort. And he came driving in, and he parked this truck in their circular driveway. And he popped out. He comes walking to me. And, yep, he had the big mullets, and he had the beard. He had the fake earrings. He had fake tattoos. He's walking up to me. And a guy from the resort, this young kid, security guard, came over to him and said, you can't park there. And he pointed at my friend. And my friend said, yeah, I can park here. No, you cannot. Move your truck. So my friend pulls out his badge and says, I'm a police officer. This is a public street. I get to park here. Go away. And the kid did. Walked up and said, I'm so sick of looking like a scumbag. I wouldn't let me park there either. Why am I telling you this? Because about a year later, after he shut down his investigation and mapped out who was selling and cooking meth in our area, he was in a home executing a search warrant. They had everybody on the floor until my friend heard a crashing sound. And a guy kicked his way out of a false wall and put a shotgun to my friend's face. He heard his colleagues yell, gun, gun, gun. And then my friend heard click. Misfire. Click. Misfire. That's being a cop. He has trouble to this day with clicks, wouldn't you? These guys aren't cops. I don't know what you want to call them. You could call them bootlickers, and you'd be right. But what if we call them what they really are? It's exactly what Jeremy Kaufman called them. They're cowards. They know what they're doing is wrong, and they do it anyway because they've got a pension. There are things worse than losing your job. One of them is losing your honor. The other, far worse than that, is losing your soul. You're involved in a lie, a massive, massive lie, that the FBI is anything other than a strong-arming organization against conservatives or people who stand against the party, such as Mayor Adams. Oh, I know they didn't go kick down his door, but we really think he's the only guy that can be prosecuted? He's being prosecuted because he stood up. So we need to learn how to stand up. Good job, Jeremy.